If it's raining where you are tonight, this may be hard to believe, but it looks like we're heading for a drought next summer. In some parts of the country, the first 10 months of this year have been the driest ever recorded, and some water companies are already applying for drought permits to use rivers to top up their reservoirs. Our weather presenter, Liam Dutton, has been finding out more.
The sun may be shining across the Hertfordshire countryside, but there are many farmers who would rather see clouds on the horizon. Parts of the Midlands and eastern England have seen very little rain over the past year, and as Robert Law, a farmer from Royston, explains, it's a growing cause for concern.
We're walking across this field. You've got your wellies on, I've got my boots on. It's walking dry, it's not sticking to either of us really, and that's the difference at the moment. Normally this time of year it'd be wet underfoot. At the moment the soil is very dry, and more worryingly for this time of the year, the subsoil underneath is very dry as well.
It's not just farmers that have been hit hard by a dry year. Water companies are also having problems, with some reservoirs worryingly empty at a time of year when they should be relatively full. Here at the Pittsford Reservoir, Anglian Water has applied for their first drought permit since the mid-90s, and it's hardly a surprise when you consider the rainfall figures. For every month since December 2010, bar one, rainfall in the Midlands has been below average. Last December saw only a third of the rainfall we'd normally expect, and although February was wetter, the huge dip in the following months led to the equal driest spring on record, compounded by yet more very dry weather this autumn.
This time of year we'd quite like for it to be roughly where we're stood here, but instead it's a good sort of 15 or 20 metres away down at the edge of the water there, which leaves us with a reservoir that's really just 55% full at the moment.
Today, the government warns that if rainfall stays below average this winter, there's a risk of shortages next summer, which would lead to restrictions on the use of water.
We haven't seen this situation for a long time, and the reason is because the ground under our feet here is actually still dry. We would expect it to be fully saturated, and we would expect rainfall to be percolating down and replenishing the natural resources ready for next year, and that's simply not happening. Groundwater levels are still going down in many places, and river flows are still decreasing, and that's a very unusual situation.
So why has this year been so dry? Well, it's all down to the position of the jet stream, a fast-moving ribbon of wind high up in the atmosphere that determines where our rain-bearing weather systems go. Normally, the jet stream snakes across the UK, bringing changeable weather, but for long periods this year, it's been sitting to the northwest of the country, taking most of the wet weather across Scotland and Northern Ireland, leaving the rest of the UK much drier than usual. So the rainfall over the coming winter months will be crucial to determine the level of drought next year.